For my money, USA International Speedway is the most balanced of the three short tracks in the Rookie Street Stock series. Where Langley is flat and frustrating, and Southern is fast and frustrating, USA is kind of in between. There's enough banking that you can get round the turns easily enough, but not so much banking that it just becomes an exercise of point and shoot. The track is also slightly longer than the other two, and this gives the field a chance to spread out more and results in fewer incidents. Now, if you can get this down, you'll be able to go fast in any car on the service, at any track on the service. It's a great teaching ground. Right, we'll keep this nice and simple. This is suitable for absolutely anyone who wants to learn ovals. All you need is to have done the rookie onboarding and 1 or 2 races with other people. Right, first thing to be aware of here is the pit lane. It is quite tight. You need to be very, very careful, particularly on your first few tries. Pass the blue cone and off you go. The first thing that I always do is just go around nice and smooth. In second gear, have a look at everything. There's a lot of grass and it's very close to the racing surface. Nice yellow line that takes over as we come into the turns. We'll want to get as close to that as we possibly can. Up the backstretch, bit of tarmac on the outside. There are 3 marked lanes here. It is quite hard to see the markings in the daytime because they're so black with rubber. In particular, about the far outside of USA, we have these traffic lights. And for a beginner, that traffic light at the end of each straight is a really good place to start turning in. So, familiarisation done, let's start winding up the pace. Oh dear. Well, if this is your first time at USA, that's probably going to happen a lot. Right, we're looking to get into 4th gear and just leave it there. Get to the traffic light, lift, turn in. Try to control it. Bit better than last time. Same again, round we go. Get to the traffic light. Off the throttle, fling it in. Wait for the grip to come back. And accelerate out. So, the first goal, all we're looking to do is to get under 25 seconds and set a high 24. Oh, turned in too late there. Wheel completely over and not a lot happening. But there you go, that's mission accomplished right away. Now let's start looking to try and build a bit of speed. That right there is issue 1. If you come in too hot, you will just get tight and wash up the track. Up a lot earlier, you can see it's a lot easier to get to the inside. But on the power slightly too early, we didn't lose it, but we went very wide on exit. Let's try again. Just washing wide there, but much better mid-corner throttle control. This is the thing about USA, it is quite easy to learn a half-decent lap time. And the trouble is, it's also quite easy to learn it with suboptimal technique. The way to prevent late corner spins on exit is to be very, very gentle. You can see I'm reintroducing the throttle very gently and trying to unwind the wheel at about the same rate as I bring the power back in. Car's definitely getting harder to drive and we're only 9 laps into this run. See the car very tight on entry and then very loose on exit. That's a bad combination. Getting harder and harder to get anywhere near that best time of a 24.2. Right, we'll just do a few more laps like this, and then we'll call in at the pits and see what's happened to our tyres. The game already knows that we're capable of getting under 24 seconds, and we haven't even started trying to use proper technique yet. Nice and early on the power, catching the slide at the end with a bit of counter steer. but we can't hold the improvement through 3 and 4. Right then, time to switch to the tyres box and see how that's gone. Have a look at that tyre information. The right front is being absolutely murdered by the way we're driving this car, whereas the right rear still has a lot of grip left to give. Now what we want to see is those two numbers in about an equal proportion, so something like 80-80 or 90-90. If we continue wearing the tyres like this, our lap times are just going to fall right off a cliff. Remember, these races are 40 laps long and you need to have some tyres left at the end of them. Back up to speed, again, watch my inputs at the bottom left, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start adding a very, very small amount of brake as we enter the turns. And that's okay, trust me. Here's the important thing, using that brake means that we can turn in with much less steering angle. If we can turn in with less steering angle, we're putting less wear onto the front right. Here we go, bit of brake, turned into like big slide, caught it. Let's try that again. Really got to go down on steering angle and be very, very smooth. Yep. And then switch straight onto a very small amount of maintenance throttle and just bring it in slowly and unwind the wheel. Let's try that again. That's better. And look at that delta flying up, even though I was bringing the power in very gently. Nice and gentle. Here's another improvement. And just like that, we are under 24 seconds. If you can lap consistently at under 24 seconds, you will be very competitive at any of the splits you'll drop into. Now, if you're struggling here, a really good thing to do is just turn down your engine sound a bit and turn up the sound of the tyres. That's what we want to hear, a gentle screech, but we don't want it to sound like the end of the world. We do want to break traction, but we don't want to spin. It can be a difficult balancing act. Faster mid-corner but slower on exit is not what we want. This for me is what oval racing is all about, dancing carefully between the pedals on a knife edge. Between too much grip and not enough grip. Too much steering, not enough steering. Too much brake, not enough brake. Too much power, not enough power. It's really subtle as we try and think in terms of tenths and hundredths of a second. I find it to be a really cool, soothing rhythm. Okay, 15 laps in. Let's leave pushing for lap time now. Find the pit lane and see how our tyres are doing. If we can just ignore the 3 minutes of optionals I somehow picked up. Don't know how that happened. But look at the tyres. Right front 88%, right rear 85%. We have gone from spending too much right front to too much right rear. Now this is a much better position to be in. The tyre wear is much more balanced, and the next run we'll look to go for ultimate lap time and to keep that as balanced as possible. At this point it's crucial not to push. Just aim to get 24 flat and you'll probably find that your lap times will fall without you even trying. So at this stage it is absolutely crucial that you don't try and push. If you push, you'll overdrive and spin. We've figured out what the best way around this track is now. What we need is consistency. Just aim for solid 24-second laps, and sooner or later we will find ourselves dropping underneath them. You see here I've got my ghost turned on. I can just follow along behind him. It's very easy to turn it off again if you find it distracting. There we go, a little stampy with the throttle, but we're up. Too late on turn in there, and we threw all the time back. The only solution to that is to just keep going around and keep paying attention to what you're doing. I've set my climate settings to give me as hot a track as possible. I do like to practice on very hot tracks with as little grip as possible. You really learn good habits, and it's much easier to then adapt them to a grippier track than to do it the other way around, learning on a grippy track and then arriving at something that's roasting hot, and suddenly all your inputs are no good. Now another thing that's really important is, as we hit the apron, don't do that. Another thing that's really important in these cars is to be really careful about chasing lost lap time. Right here, that's a bad entry. We're going to try and push and make it back on exit. And round we go. If you're slow early or mid-corner, do not try to chase it with a faster exit. You'll just lose it. Accept that this was a slower turn and get the next one right. Right, I think that the ghost and the delta bar on the best lap time is actually distracting me a bit. So we've turned it off. We're going to ignore it. We've got the spotter off. He's not calling out the lap times. And I'm just going to drive. What this is good for as well is building long-run consistency. You will not, over the course of a 40-lap race, be able to keep banging in consistent lap times under 23 seconds. If we can just put in consistent low 24s for 30 laps, we'll be in a really good position to do well in the race. There we go, not looking at the delta, don't care about the delta, I'm just looking at the apex. I'm looking at... Good save there, too hot on entry, heard the tyres squealing, came off the throttle, big armful of opposite lock, and we kept it going in the right direction. So difficult to resist the temptation to get on the power too early. If you do that, the car just slides towards the outside wall and all your lap time disappears with it. 24 flat, 24-1, 24-2, 24-3. Keep banging those out, avoid the chaos, and results will come to you. Confidence in this car is all about having the confidence, brake early, stay on the brake for longer, use less throttle, wait until the right moment to get back on the power, and the lap time will come. Really want to get as close to that yellow line as you possibly can. Now that looks quite close, but it's still very high by our standards. Let's try that again. Nice and smooth. There we go. We want to... That's the ideal place for it. See that notch on the bonnet where the headlight meets the bonnet part? That's where you want to put the yellow line and keep it there if you can. Right there. Trick is, of course, keeping the car in that notch without going slightly too far, hitting the apron, and having a very nasty spin to deal with. Right, let's bring it back to the pits, check the tyres again, and then have one last shot for ultimate lap time. Look at that, we were going for 16 laps and the tyre wear 94 and 92. This is exactly what we want to see, and it will give us great pace at the end of a long race. Now, driving like this, you may see the leaders run away from you, but if they're not driving with the same technique, their tyres will go off, and after lap 20 or so, you will really start to catch and pass them at a rate of knots. Right, session best is back on, ghost car is off. Let's have one last blast for the lap time. Too aggressive. Need to be calmer. You don't gain lap time here by being more aggressive. So much easier to rotate the car. Bit too much rotation there. But it is so much easier to rotate the car when you bring the brake in. If you're coasting through the corners, you're losing lap time and you're murdering your right front. Good run here, just gonna miss it. There we go. Nice little improvement to end on. We're at 23.8. There's another nice little target for me to work on as I practice through the week, getting under 23.8. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to try and get under 23.8 again. Time for you to get out on track and try and match me. See you there.